Have you ever felt like the ground beneath you is just shaking? Well, Jesus told this incredible story about that exact feeling. It's all about two houses, one massive storm, and a question that, honestly, it cuts right to the heart of everything. What is your life really built on?
We all kind of go through life with this basic assumption that things are stable, right? We build our careers, our families, we make our plans, all thinking the ground under our feet is solid. It's how we're wired. But then, the storm hits, and it never asks for permission. It can be a phone call from the doctor, a betrayal from someone you trust, a financial collapse, a deep, personal loss. And all of a sudden, that solid ground doesn't feel so solid anymore. These moments, they reveal something we just don't think about when things are calm.
And this is the question Jesus just brings right to the surface with his story. Not what you hope your life is built on, or what it looks like from the outside, but what is it actually resting on when the pressure is on? It's a question from 2,000 years ago that feels like it was written for today.
Okay, so to really get the weight of this, you got to picture the scene. We're in 1st century Judea. The landscape there, well, it could be deceptive. You'd see this dry, sun-baked ground that looked perfectly safe for months, but one big winter storm could turn that very spot into a raging torrent, just washing away anything not anchored deep into the bedrock. Every single person listening to Jesus, they knew this danger firsthand.
So right there, at the very end of his most famous teaching, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus draws a line in the sand, literally. He lays out two paths, two foundations, and two totally different outcomes. And notice what he says. The storm is coming for everyone. The question isn't if the storm hits, but what have you built your life on when it does?
Now, here's what's so fascinating about this. On the surface, these two builders, they could look identical. I mean, they're in the same town, they're listening to the same life-altering teaching from Jesus. They both might look religious, moral, even super sincere. The difference isn't something you can see from the outside.
So here it is, the single, crucial dividing line. It's not about hearing Jesus. It's not even about agreeing with him. Both builders hear him. The difference is in the doing. The wise builder takes Jesus' words and makes them the actual load-bearing walls of their life. Their foundation is allegiance to him as king. But the foolish builder? Oh, they might admire the words, get inspired by them, sure. But they just use them as nice decorations on a house that's actually built on their own plans and their own wisdom. Their foundation isn't allegiance, it's just inspiration.
And this is just a brilliant picture of what the rock really is. See, the rock isn't a set of rules or a moral code or even having all your theology perfectly correct. The rock is a person. It is Jesus Christ himself, trusted as the final authority, obeyed as the rightful king, and given the actual throne in the center of your life.
So this brings us to one of the sneakiest, most dangerous illusions in the spiritual life, and it's one Jesus is absolutely determined to expose. It's the feeling that simply hearing the truth is the same thing as living it.
I mean, it is so easy to nod along to a powerful sermon or teaching and feel like we've changed, when all we've really done is agree with an idea.
Or, we feel this powerful emotional rush during worship or prayer, and we can mistake that feeling for genuine gut-level surrender and obedience in our actual day-to-day lives.
And this is the core of the sand foundation. It's a spiritual life built on these fleeting moments of inspiration, instead of the slow, deliberate, decision-by-decision work of actually building on the rock of Christ's authority. And sand, as Jesus warns us, it always feels solid, right up until the moment it doesn't.
But after exposing this illusion, Jesus doesn't just leave us there. This warning isn't meant to make us despair. It's a profound invitation to a better way. He's showing us the path to building a life that genuinely cannot be shaken, no matter what storm comes its way.
And it's really important to get this. The storm Jesus talks about isn't just a personal crisis. The Bible also points to a future time of global shaking, a time when a casual, borrowed faith, the kind that's more about culture than a real relationship with Christ, it just won't be enough. In that kind of storm, only a life that is truly and deeply rooted in Christ himself is going to remain standing. So how do we actually form this foundation? Well, it's not a one-time event. It's a process. It starts with a choice to trust his authority more than our own. Then it moves to application, where we actually let his words shape our daily choices and rearrange what we see as important. And finally, it becomes embodied, a faith that's lived out, where what we say we believe and how we actually live become the same thing.
This just says it perfectly. Building on the rock isn't about being flawless. I mean,
Who is? It's about a loving allegiance. It's a relational loyalty to Jesus as our King, and we express that loyalty by trying to obey Him, not out of duty, but as a loving response to the one who rescued us. And you have to see the heart of Jesus here. He tells this story before the storm hits. He's not standing over the rubble of a collapsed house shouting, "I told you so." No. He's standing on solid ground, pointing out the danger while there is still time to move, to rebuild. This isn't a threat, it's a rescue mission.
And all this brings us to the final, sobering conclusion of the story. It's where we have to ask ourselves, when the storm finally passes, what will it reveal about the house that we've built?
When Jesus says these words, you can almost hear the grief in his voice. It's not some triumphant gotcha. It's a sorrowful, heartbreaking statement of what happens. A life that looks strong for years can completely collapse in one single moment if the foundation isn't real.
And here's the real tragedy that Jesus is pointing to. It's not that bad things happen. Storms are just a part of life in this world. The tragedy is that a firm, unshakable foundation was offered. It was available to everybody, but it was refused. Refused for something that looked easier or faster, and in the end was completely worthless.
But you know what? For those who build on the rock, the story doesn't end with the storm. It actually points forward to an even greater reality, an unshakable kingdom and a restored world where everyone anchored in Christ is safe forever. Systems will fall, nations will tremble, but whatever is founded on him, it cannot be shaken.
So we're left with this gentle but pretty urgent question. It's a question we answer not just once, but every single day, with every choice we make. At the end of it all, it's not going to be about whether we were inspired by Jesus' words. It's going to be about whether our entire weights, our entire hope, our entire life was truly resting on Him. And the beautiful truth is, He's inviting every single one of us to start building on that rock today.